we'll see in a second, Neil. You'll see people start coming on. They'll say good morning to it. There's Steph. So we've got and Constance. Good morning, Jackie, Claire, Lucy. Welcome, Charlie, Stacey, Georgia, Tammy,
Hello.
Emma, Carla.
How do I make that bigger so I can see?
Morning, Jodie, Lucy, Chloe. Yeah, we've got a couple of the Euphoria editorial team with us this morning, Neil. Alethea, you've worked with Neil.
Oh.
Fantastically. Anna, Kim, Sandy. Good morning, Anna. There you go. Excellent. Olivia. Anna was also is also part of the Andanius, part of the Euphoria editorial. Fantastic. Charlotte, good morning. Taylor. That's great. We're just waiting for everybody to get in the room. We know approximately how many will be here. All right, let me just start first of all, Neil, if I can, with a little bit of housekeeping for everybody, so that we know. Down the bottom, we have enabled the Q&A and the comments. What we'll do, Neil, is we'll take all the questions and answers at the end. Okay. So you'll see those, Neil, coming up in blue boxes, but we'll leave those for the end, and then we'll see everybody having a little chat there with each other, and that's great. That's what our community is about. So welcome everybody, and welcome Neil.
Good morning.
So I'm excited for this morning, Neil, and I'll tell you why. There's a ton of webinars out there and lives and lots of information, lots of stuff going on. But this morning we're going to be focusing on creativity, and
definitely.
Yeah, I'm not the most creative hairdresser in the world, as you know, but even I'm excited. We've got a lot of creatives on here today. So, Neil, tell us a little bit about you and your hairdressing career and how you became to be such a creative.
Before I start, can you hear my feedback, like in my mic?
I can hear you clear as anything. What's everybody else hearing? Is Neil clear? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my journey started nearly 20 years ago. I started as a future professional with Barry Stephen, and it was a journey that I've never actually planned for. I didn't want to be a hairdresser, as so to speak, and I was all ready to go to university, but I went into hairdressing, and within 8 months I was qualified, and then 6 months later we opened the King Street salon, and it was then when my creative license came full, and it was you, Debbie, who put me on stage at the Lancaster Hotel with a manufacturing company that we won't mention, and literally kind of let me see and learn and kind of get into things that was now where I am. So in the 19 years of creativity, I've kind of shared a lot of time with some of the iconic hairdressers in the world. I've been mentored by a lot of them, and I've had a journey that has actually taken me all over the world. It's given me opportunities to see places and experience different cultures, and it's also given me time to give my skill set back and be able to educate for yourselves, Euphoria, and other manufacturers. Just
I think
that's
okay.
Can I?
Oh yeah, that is better. Yeah.
Sorry about that. It's just I was getting recall from my mic, and I could hear myself, and so that's why I've popped you some ears in. So yeah, and so in that time frame, obviously I work behind the salon chair 5 days a week. I am a stylist, foremost, and that's where my heart lies, in the salon. And I get the opportunity to go off and do the creative things. Now, I've gone to New York Fashion Week. I led a team out there for a up and coming designer for one of the Vogue Childs. And I've done London and obviously all the other fashion weeks. And I've been able to do some of the greatest kind of fashion shows around.
You led, Neil, you led the Euphoria team at
Yep.
New York Fashion Show, didn't you?
Yep, I did indeed.
Yeah, Don, when Euphoria were invited to do New York Fashion Week, Don appointed you the team leader, right?
Yeah, so when you get to do Fashion Week, when you become a team lead, they expect a certain caliber of stylist, and I know this sounds awful, but it actually goes down to what's on your CV and what experience you actually have in that field. And if they feel you don't have the right credentials, then you're not going to get in. And for Euphoria at that stage, none of their team in the global team had actually done any kind of high level Fashion Week stuff. So when they appointed the first person who they wanted to, they actually, the designer rejected it. And actually they had to quickly think on their feet. And they said, oh, we've got one of our stylists in London, because they always refer to me as I'm in London. And that was it. I was whisked off and sent out to New York, which was fantastic. And I led the team out there. But also, like, I've done a runway show for the Queen, which was something that not many people will have on their CV. And I've kind of done Graduate Fashion Week, and I've done the men's collections in New York as well as in London. But then also I do a lot of photographic work. It's where my passion really is. I always say I'm not the greatest hairdresser in terms of hairdressing as in cutting and colouring, but my skill set would be in the manipulation and finishing of hair, definitely. I am that's where my kind of heart lies the most, is in kind of the finishing, the detailing of, and the personalization. And that's why I think my photographic work is so strong. But photographic wise, I've produced collections that have got me through to the British Hairdressing Awards 3 times. I was Young Hairdresser of the Year, Women's Stylist of the Year, Your Hair Image of the Year, and I've graced the front covers of numerous of publications, but one image in particular, which was my default image, and I know we'll see it later, actually had went worldwide and has had more front covers than any other picture I've produced. But then also I've gone on to do like the brand advertising for Euphoria, their latest collection, the New York State of Mind. But I've also then gone and done, like, as I said, brand advertising. I've worked with Bosch, I've worked with John Lewis, Argos, Boots, doing their brand imagery for those. I've been privileged to do some celebrities in my time. Music videos. So I've had shall we say, all kind of aspects of the session world, and I still come home to my little place in the sticks and go and do my clients week in, week out, which is where I would like to be. Well, I shouldn't say right now, but I would like to be there, back in the salon right now. But so yeah, it's been a very good career. It's been hard work. It's something I always say to Debbie is, I keep on walking those miles, and every time I walk past that extra mile and the extra mile, I look behind me, and every time I get to a new mile, someone's disappeared, and it's a tough, long road. If you ever want to get into it, there's always going to be someone chasing your tail who will do it for, can do it there and everything else. But all I would say to you, it's one of those things that if you put your time and effort and investment into doing it and doing it correctly, it does reward you. But it is a lonely road. That's all I'm going to say. There's not many people going to hold your hand and help you along the way.
Yeah. So we've got Actually, let's just go back to when you did hair on the runway for the Queen. That was at
Yep.
De Montfort University,
That was it. Yep.
wasn't it?
Yep.
And Catherine was there too, wasn't she?
Yep, she was. Kate, yep, she was there.
Yes, yeah. That
Very,
must have been a
very,
real surreal.
very surreal kind of situation that was, because obviously I've worked with De Montfort University, which is so they have a lingerie course and a fashion course, and I've worked in partnership with them now for 12 years. So I go every year as their creative consultant, and I do the graduate lookbook. So that's so each of the students, or shall I say designers, gets to take one of their pieces from their final collection and have it photographed as a fashion editorial. And when the Queen went on her Jubilee tour, she came to Leicester first of all, and the university was her first stop. And if I just go into that little bit about behind it, so I had to pick a team without the team knowing they were going to be doing what they were doing. I had to ask them for either their birth certificate or their passport. And they had to be, is it CRB checks, like where they run you through to make sure you've got anything else?
Is it DBR, CBR, DBR?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
and then the
mean.
night before, when it was announced where she was going, they messaged and said, "Are we doing the hair at the show for the Queen?" And I was like, "Yes, you are." And we had to then get met at the entrance where we was going, and we was escorted into the building. We were told that there would be an armed guard in the corridor outside our room where we were. If we wanted to go to the toilet, they would escort us into the toilet, and we wasn't allowed to close the cubicle door if you were having a number 2, or for the ladies, number 1. And they went on to tell us that they had there was 2 helicopters in the sky permanently over the building. There was armed people on the roof. Dogs have been in the sewers to check for bombs. I was just like, it was something that I've never experienced at a show. And then I actually got to sit in the audience, and obviously it's such a surreal and serene kind of thing. It's like you could hear the gasp of but Kate is absolutely stunning in real life, and the Queen, well, she's amazing anyway. So, but yeah, it's a highlight, and the picture that graced many of the newspapers and front covers is the Queen and Kate sat at the end of the runway, and there's one of the models in a very, very short, shall we say, 1960s style dress with her bum cheeks out. So it's an iconic moment in.
You should put it up afterwards, Neil,
yeah,
on social media so everyone can see it. Okay, so that's exciting. We've got some pictures up here. I just want to tell everyone we've had some technical challenges this morning, and they're still working, I believe, so that we can upload some more things. But we've got what we've got here. This is the latest collection that you've worked on in front of us, Neil. Is that right?
Yep, the New York State of Mind. Yep, that's correct.
So this was for Euphoria. So tell us, whereabouts did you go to do this collection?
Okay, so myself and Mirza Botanovic, so we are the style directors for Euphoria. So we share the same job role. Obviously, I'm here, he's there, but we actually
there as in New York, yeah.
Yeah, so Mirza would share his time between the East and the West Coast. So he's based in New York full time, and he is the art director of the Euphoria Salon Studio. So the first ever salon the manufacturers had themselves, and he would then be on the East and West Coast in LA. And one of the things that we wanted to do was actually take the styling line from Euphoria and actually show its capabilities. We wanted to show the kind of strength and the durability, how adaptable it was. So we kind of said that if we did it in New York in August, I don't know if any of you've experienced New York summer. Well, it's sweltering, and then it could be torrential thunderstorms and flash flooding, and then it'll be sweltering again. So the idea was we took 4 girls, and those 4 girls had just everyday, straightforward, normal kind of hair. So they're nothing kind of fancy. It was all about styling, no cutting, no colouring. Obviously, we tidied the edges up, we put toners and glosses on and stuff like that. But their hair had to adapt from the first style that we did in the morning throughout the day and into the evening, so that actually you could see that the integrity of the products were not building up on the hair, that we could actually, it was still malleable to the point that we could actually create a next shape and the next style and the next style and so forth. So the girls actually are transitioning through the parts of the day and through the thunderstorm and the flash flooding and everything else I've just mentioned. And we did it inside and outside, so that actually we had a kind of studio, which is the black and white ones, which is the just kind of nice, clean lighting, very simple, no kind of, and then we went outside. She was amazing, that girl. And this girl who's just up on the screen now, just because it caught my eye, she's 5 foot nothing. And she literally is like, she was amazing. But yeah, so, and then we just walked around New York, cameraman, makeup artist. One of the stylists was back in the salon, still doing the next look. And we was literally in a location and just taking the pictures and moving on. So yeah, and I think it's nice because obviously Euphora still being a lifestyle brand, the outdoor ones are, what I would say, they're very commercial to the point that actually is relatable not just to a person who wants to have that kind of hair. It's an everyday woman. It's kind of, you could see that in London, you could see it in Paris, Milan, Sydney, anywhere. It's one of those things that these are livable styles on livable hair. And one of the big key trends that we wanted to kind of push within that was actually the curl. And actually using the curls that isn't necessarily the normal everyday curl, what people want, the soft, loose waves. It was actually about getting a tighter curl in and dressing the hair out and making it kind of lived in and become more malleable throughout. So that was the other big key trend, what we was kind of looking for. And you'll notice they've all got some kind of movement of a description. None of them are, yes, there's the I call her Mrs. Colgate, the beautiful smile, but yeah, so we have got her face to die for. So
this one here,
yeah,
this one here, this has been, and this one have both been front covers, haven't they?
yeah. So the lady who's on the screen now with the taxi in the background, she's actually one of the posters that was launched for the launch of this collection. So she was the first advertising campaign poster, and then the girl who was in this one, yeah. So she actually was the front cover of the Euphoria magazine at the beginning, but like in terms of press, the press have kind of, it's been on Behind the Chair, Modern Salon. Oh, can't think because they're all like the American publications pick them up. And then in the UK, I know Professional Hairdresser picked them up, Salon Business picked them up. So they've kind of doing their times, but the whole collection still hasn't been released. I think normally when you do a collection, you would have your model do 2 looks. But we actually got some of our models were ended up with, one of them had 5 looks. So I think it was the first time Euphoria ever had a collection that was not just 8 pictures. I think they ended up with about 30. So it shows you how quick we were on our feet to change the styles, but also it was the foundations and the preparation was done correctly. So it was just easy for us to do. And that's one of the key things that I will pick up on later is preparation is paramount.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's so nice to see these pictures shot outside. It's quite unusual for um, our industry to shoot pictures outside because of the difficulty with the lighting and also the the atmospheric conditions. So, and let's just remind everybody. So let's go back now to the black and white, and all of
Yep.
the pictures, the inside and the outside pictures are just 4 girls. Is that right?
Yep, just 4 girls throughout.
4 girls.
I'm
Amazing.
just, if my eye contact goes down a minute, I'm just going to send some images to add on to this for you as well, because it's just, I'm not sure if, because I can give you an exclusive. We've also shot the new treatment for the backwash imagery at the same time as this.
Oh,
So I'm just
you're going to
gonna,
give us an exclusive, Neil.
yeah.
Who wants an exclusive?
Hang on,
Neil's going to send
so
us. We're really testing Declan today as well. So, in terms of the the black and white are gorgeous. This one that's on the screen right now,
yes.
I love this picture.
So so her hair actually is a bowl haircut. So really graphical, kind of clean outline, short, tapered through the sides and everything else. And Mirza blow dried her hair and made her into what she is, not this one. And then he just said to me, like, he was going out the door to do an outdoor
That
shot
one?
with one of his other girls. No, so I did this one and her straight look. And it was one of those things that actually, when it kind of came through that way, it was sometimes I look at things and I'm like, it's not my taste, because me personally, I felt there was too much hair for it to be that look. But actually, after we kind of shot it and we got it correct, it was one of those things that we actually felt was right for it. And like yeah, it's great.
I
And
love it.
so her hair, as it is on that picture, she's gone on to be the face of their new aloe light creamer
Yeah.
lightener.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just find them pictures.
I tell
I
you
am
what, this
listening
one reminds me. This girl reminds me of. Do you remember when you did the show at the Staples Centre?
Yes. Yep,
And
I know where.
we
Yep.
arrived from London. How many shows were at that? It was Euphoria Global Connection.
Yep.
And how many shows were there in total?
So hang on. So 1, 2, 3. So the opening. I think there was 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think 6 or 7
I think
shows.
there was 94 models. I remember it being something like 94 models.
Yeah, and when we got there, everybody else had picked their models, and you were left with all the.
Yes. Okay. I can tell the story. So so we arrived into LA, and obviously that was the first time I went out and did anything on behalf of Euphoria and in association with Passion for Hair. And I kind of had to produce a runway show of I think it was 45 minutes and I had to not just produce it in terms of the look for the hair. I had to do the sound, the visuals, the clothing, the makeup, the lighting, the cue, the script. So it was 6 months. Well, I think I had about 6 months, 5.5 months to get it all ready. So then when I arrived out there, they took us to a salon, and basically all the global team who were doing other shows, they'd kind of already picked their models and everything else. And I was just like, okay, you're my models, let's get on with it. And day one, I politely asked one of the models to leave. She just said, I don't like what you're doing to my hair. And I said, you're a model, you're a coat hanger for what I need you to do. You're being paid to have, you're not having it cut, you're not having it colored, it's pure styling, it's going to wash out tomorrow. And she was like, and I said, okay, you're done now, you can leave. and that was it. She didn't come back, and I think that happened about 4 times, and it's not me being a diva, because I'm really not. And
Yeah, some people here have worked with Neil, so back him up on what he's like to work with on shows. Those of you that have worked with Neil on shows, he's amazing.
And after I'd kind of done that, we went out for dinner, myself, Debbie, Daniel, and we went to a Japanese restaurant.
And Brittany.
Oh, Brittany, of course, Brittany.
There's Tiffany with us too. Tiffany.
And Caitlin and I've got his name.
Oh, Donovan.
That's really bad. Donovan, thank you. And we were at a restaurant, and then there was this beautiful, and I mean stunning girl. I'll put her image into what I'm just about to send.
Waitress. You're talking about the one that was the
waitress. Yeah. And we literally just said to her, "Do you want to walk down the runway?" And she was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Have you got any friends?" And one of her other waitresses who was working, so I picked 2 girls up because I needed to find 5. And then we found one in a sandwich store, and then we found then her sister came.
She brought her sister.
And then we had a boy from, I think he was a mobile phone shop. But literally, the first girl who I was referring to in the waitress, I sent her down the runway in a see-through dress with no, they call them petals, we call them pasties over her nipples. And Don said to me, he said, "Neil, you can't do that." And I was like, "Don, it's a nipple. Like, you can go to the beach and see nipples." Like, and he was like, no, the Americans won't appreciate it. And I was like, "Don, okay, I respect you." So we put her little petals on, and literally I gave her a wink. She gave me a nudge. And just before she walked out on that stage, they came out and she went out full frontal. And there is quite a few little Donisms, as I call them. He was a man who literally is an open book and everything else. And more or less, as my cue to go out onto the runway for the very, very first time and get introduced into the audience, he literally turned around to me and went, "Neil, don't fuck it up." And I was like, "Thanks for that." As I'm walking out onto stage, you've literally, and that was his thing. His saying is, whenever any of us went out on stage, was, pardon my French, "Don't F it up."
Yeah.
But because I didn't know that, obviously, in my mind it was. So then I spent the next, obviously, 45 minutes doing my show, and I did something what not many hairdressers would do. And I literally said, "Thank you very much. Thank you to blah, blah, blah." And I said, "If you would like to come and have a look at the hair up close and personal, feel free to join me on stage." And Don had to actually get on the mic and say, "Please, can the 2,500 people who are trying to get on the stage wait and get off, because it's going to collapse." And he then went on to say that actually it shows the integrity of the hair that I produced was of a quality and was more about the detailing was already in there, that actually there's a difference when you do a hair for a show to a photo shoot, because actually people are sitting below it, the lighting and everything else, so it can tell lies and it can do certain things that sometimes it doesn't look that great when you're up close and personal. And he just said that's an integral hairdresser who has got no areas to hide from, inviting obviously them up on stage. So yeah, that was a great experience. And to be fair, have I?
Yeah, sorry. You're still there.
Oh, I'm still there. It just popped up saying I'm going to YouTube. And I kind of keep that ethos now. Like I didn't take a ready-made team. The only person I had met before was Donovan. I don't actually know if I had met Donovan before we went, but obviously I met him when we traveled. And then Brittany, and who's my Mrs. Google, if she's watching it or listening to it or going to on catch up. Hello, Britt.
She'll be on catch up. It's too early. Too early.
But yeah, so she's my right
hand. She opens her salon tomorrow.
Does she?
Yeah. 12,
oh wow.
Yeah.
So she's my right hand girl, and then Tiffany, who has been with me ever since. Obviously, Caitlin, she's kind of gone into wedding got married, had babies and everything else, love and everything else. So yeah, it's been like, and I always take people on a journey with me when I do shows and photographic. I'll always introduce a new person to my team in America every year, because I grow a core collective team, and they get to they know me, how I work, the kind of way I work, and understand it, and then I can actually spend time kind of, I'm not going to say educating them, because they already have a skill set of a level that they're masters of their crafts and everything else. So but obviously my approach to hair, to the American approach to hair, is very different and unique. It is, we all have our own kind of way of working, but I suppose it'll be a good time for me to share about the editorial team. So kind of the editorial team for me was something that I wanted an avenue to give back, and also I wanted to have a kind of avenue to work with Debbie and actually do some things in kind of the outer kind of industry, so the session based, so not necessarily focusing on just session work, but actually focusing on different aspects. So I kind of was jumping on a plane to Spain, and I said to Debbie, I said, Debbie, I've got an idea. Will you read it over and let's kind of discuss it? And then that was where the editorial team was born. So it was 4 years in its running, and it's not finished. It's just taken a little sabbatical because I had to do a few focus points on things in the salon and obviously with Euphora. And the way it worked was that any people who were a Euphora salon could apply. Now, I have nothing to do with it. It's all done independently, and Debbie doesn't have it, or Daniel doesn't. And they had to submit a overview of themselves, a CV or a opening letter kind of thing, with a mood board, which would depict kind of the trends for the color, cut, styling, makeup, just to see how they understand fashion and everything else. And then they started a journey with myself. So once a month we would meet all around the different parts of the country. Sometimes we were in Leicester in the salon, sometimes we were in Essex and so forth. And I kind of covered the background and essential knowledge and understanding of what present the presenter, so how you present on stage, and not just presentation skills in terms of communication, but actually like around you, your spatial awareness, cameras, sound guys, and all those kind of things. And that is one of the most I don't want to say enjoyable, but it is enjoyable because you see the progression and the development happen like that. And it's the
Oh, your sound has gone, Neil. Your sound has gone. I don't know why Neil's sound has gone. No, Neil, your sound has gone. Is he not hearing? Hang on, let's type a message. Can everybody else hear Neil's sound? Let's type him. Your sound has gone, Neil. Can you hear me, Daniel? Yeah, okay, you can hear me, not Neil. Okay. I don't know why that is, Neil. Okay. I can start talking to people. So whilst Neil sorts out his sound. Can we hear
there we
you?
go. Can you hear me? Sorry, apologise.
Yeah. That's all right.
So yeah, so if I go back to the presentation. Yeah, so if I go to the back to where did I lose my sound, and then I'll try to recap it. If someone, would one of you please just kind of tell me where the sound just disappeared?
You were saying
about the presentation skills day.
No.
Okay, no, so if I start there.
So I think where your sound went was where you said we met all over the country. People would come together.
Yep. Okay. So yeah,
And the kind of I took them through a journey of presentation skills, and in the presentation skills you would get a overview of what it is to present on stage. So that would incorporate everything from working with having a video man on your shoulder, where the cables would be on the floor. It's like understanding the stage dynamics, the audio and visual, them kind of things. But also it would then go down into the communication side. And I'm not going to digress too much into it because it's an kind of little bit of a format what goes within. So the ones who know, and the ones who don't, well, you'll have to do that course to find out. And it's one of the biggest game changers of the whole series or the program, that is the editorial team. And it's the one what I enjoy the most because I get to see the progression and the change of the person instantly. And when we meet for the next installment of it, and when I ask them how do you feel, what do you kind of, and everything else, they're like, I can't believe how much what we did has changed and influenced the way I've become, because it is such a big thing. And then I went on to do backstage styling. So like Fashion Week, say if you were at London Fashion Week, you've got to have the toolkit to be able to go there, because actually there's a certain level of expectations with your tools, but then there's also an expectation of your skill set needs to be there. Like, it's one of those worlds that yes, a ponytail is a ponytail, and yes, like simple things like, but it is how you do it, the way you tie it, the way it's, and everything else. So we kind of went into core kind of just skill set. Then we went on to behind the lens. So we learn and kind of I shared what goes into actually making a photo shoot. And people just think they rock up and they turn up and do hair. Now, hair isn't, oh, it's beautiful, Sophie. Hair isn't just done like that. Hair is actually done, it's the understanding of your team. So your photographer, your lighting, your makeup, your clothes stylist, your backdrop. What is your where is the placement, your PR from it, and everything else. So it's one of those things that actually it's one of those things you have to one of those things you have to really think about, because it's such an expensive part of a salon's budget to go and do it, and the expense can be as great as tens of thousands of pounds, and it can be as little as a couple of £1,000s, but it's about doing it correctly. So, and then we went on to do the photo shoot. Now this collection, the future, it was the, I can't think, Future Looks, that's it, Future Looks. So the garments, what we see, I begged, stealed and borrowed from my other half's company where he worked, and like the models, they are all professional models. That was an experience for the team who worked on this, because the girl with the copper hair, at one point, I thought I was ringing an ambulance for her.
Oh my God, I remember that.
She had so her hair had been root tongued and pin curled and set, and she literally looked like she was gonna die. Like, she was like shrinking, and she went, "Can I go and lie down, please?" And I was like, "Not really. You just had your hair 2 hours spent doing all your bits on your hair, and you want to go and lie on it." But I couldn't say no, obviously. And I said to her, "Look, please, let's leave it here. Like, I don't want to actually be the cause of anything. Like, clearly you're unwell." And she's like, no. She went, "I will give you the one shot, and I'll make sure you've got that killer shot. So you've got your look, and we'll go from there." So the look, what she's got, isn't the look what was intended. It's one of those things that you really have to think upon your feet and change. You really, really do have to have an open mind on a photo shoot, because some of the things you plan to do never goes the way you want it to. And she's a prime example. She was meant to be beautiful, dressed out, flowing curls in the wind and everything. And because she slept on it, obviously the foundation work had broken down. So it was, let's get some pins and let's create something. And actually, it is a beautiful shot, and she did pull it out the bag, and she, as they say,
it's only one shot. They need to get that one killer shot. Now, there's two of the other girls in there. So the one with the glasses and the short blonde hair, Jordan and Sophie. Like Jordan, she came out literally within 10 shots. She was gone. Like, and Sophie, she's another one. She comes out and they just know their angles. They know what's what. You tell them and give them the kind of idea of what it is and what you're thinking. And then they literally bang, 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 done. So then we went on to do the power of PR. So understanding like how to work with a PR company, but also working with editors of magazines and so forth. One of the big things that I do for myself and for Passion and for Euphoria is do some creative writing, because I'm always being requested for quotes for magazines. So trend columns, Hair Doctor, whatever it may be, feature products, and so forth. And you have to be able to communicate in a level that's going to be for a consumer, but also it's going to be understandable for them, but actually needs to be able to relate to the trade of it side, so you and I. And so that was another thing. But also I went through how you can release imagery into the media part of PR, and they don't get used or seen for months on end. And then all of a sudden they pop up and you don't get any notification of where they're going or who's when and everything else. So it's literally, you never know. And prime example was when I was out in Argentina at the beginning of the year for Euphoria. I went into one of the Euphoria salons there, and literally I just, because they were talking in Portuguese, I literally looked on the table in the salon and there was a front cover from this collection. And I was like, oh, that's my pictures. That's like kind of thing. And I kind of then opened the magazine and there is the whole collection. I've actually got it upstairs. But
what it was this one, the Future Lux collection, Neil?
Yeah, I'll hang on. If I will send the file, what I'm going to send over, I'll include that one, and then I'll go and grab that front cover and I can hold it. But I do actually have so Sophie with the short blonde hair in this collection. Her picture is on my stairwell, the front cover from Estetica magazine. That's on my stairs with 3 or 4 other front covers from magazines that it's one of those things, trying to keep your magazine pristine, but then there's also wanting to rip the front cover off to put it into a frame and have it on my wall. So I think there's 3 on the wall upstairs, and I think in total I've most probably had about 30, 40 front covers. Hang on, here's.
Oh, there you go. Your trusty above your head.
So, oh God, it's dusty when I hold it into the. So there's Sophie. Hang on, I can't get the angle right.
Yeah, in the middle.
So,
and then to the right there, that was also
that way.
That one there. That's also editorial. That was Irma.
So,
Irma's on here.
Is she?
You hear
Good morning.
Irma?
So and the magazine is in my silver cabinet.
Here's the front cover too. There you go.
Yeah.
This was
that was obviously with Euphoria. So that's the New York State of Mind.
That was the back cover, actually. That other picture.
Yeah, but the back cover is that is one of their in salons branding and marketing posters, which is it's funny because there's imagery that goes out now that actually I don't even know has been published or ever been seen. Oh, here we go.
They're saying they can't see you,
Will
Neil.
You just send that to. Have I disappeared?
Well, I can see you.
Oh, and there's Kieran, popping his head up. Declan at Passion for Hair.
Yeah. Which ones? 4.
So you were in a salon in Argentina.
Yeah, so yeah, this popped up in Argentina when I was out there.
And you saw that there. You said, "Oh, can I have that magazine?" Because that just
well, I
happens
was
to
just
be.
like, it's really, and inside.
Wow.
I have a box, and I do actually have to stop and think sometimes. Like, not front covers, obviously, I'll keep them, but yeah, it's quoted hair by editorial team, art directed by Neil Smith, passion for hair, and Euphoria, and then obviously, and then
so published all over the world.
Yeah, so if I just quickly flip, so this was something that Debbie popped me into, and it was last year. So Salon Business, I can't get my camera right, but Salon Business, they run a competition. Now I know Pure Hair, isn't it, in Ben and Val, they won at that awards. Was it Salon or Team or something? But yeah, so Debbie nominated me. Where am I? There. And kind of entered me into the Ultimate Stylist in association with obviously Euphoria and Passion, and I got through to the finals. And which is always a experience and a half. So me, my partner, and Daniel, we went down and we had an evening of canapes and champagne on a beautiful roof terrace in central London in the pouring rain. It's always joyful, but yeah. So
right now, I would, to be on a roof terrace in London having canapes and champagne, I wouldn't care less what the weather was like. No. I would do it in the snow.
Yeah. So then obviously with the editorial team, they would accumulate to actually doing their own show at Business Counts. And it's one of those moments that I will plan up to a certain level, and then I just leave them in the deep end, because actually the hair I will guide and advise and kind of nurture, but I won't physically do the ins and outs and the hows and the whys, because obviously it's their interpretation, it's their feeling of what they want to produce, and they get to actually present in front of their peers and everything else. And obviously they receive a certification, they get to have the imagery for their use in the salon. Obviously the imagery is always available through Passion as well for other salons to use. And it's a great journey of the editorial team. So it's about 8 months, but once a month we'll meet, and then we take a little kind of summer holiday break. And it's nice, and it's something that I became very passionate about, because actually I always think that there's not enough education sometimes in the right key areas. We're always fixated on cutting, colouring and everything else. But actually sometimes just understanding the wider fundamentals, what, how, of just things that people might aspire to but just don't even know how to approach, is one of the big things and the reasons I did it. Because actually I wish I had someone who mentored me when I started my journey of going up and down the country, around the world, because I didn't. I had to learn on my feet, and I fell flat on my face a couple of times, but I picked myself up and kept on going with it, as you always have to, don't we?
Yeah.
There's not always, and it's one of those big things that I always say, you're always going to face rejection, and it's what and how you learn to deal with it and grow from it and come back bigger and better and ready to get that whatever it was you got rejected from. So it's been
so I remember one other really because we just said earlier how great Neil is to work with, and he really is. I mean, I'm not a creative hairdresser.
A story's just popped into my head.
I bet it's the same one as mine. I'm not a creative hairdresser. It's not who I am at all. But I've been privileged to work with some very, very creative hairdressers, because it's been my job to put the shows together, as it were. So I've been very privileged to work with a lot of creative people. I'm just going to tell everybody this, that Susan Campbell from Census asked me. Susan's not a hairdresser, although she's been in our industry a long, long time. And she asked me once, she said, what's the difference between a hairdresser like Neil and Jude and a hairdresser like you, Debbie? And I said, they see things in hair that I don't even see. So that's the difference between creative hairdressers and technical hairdressers. Doesn't mean to say that somebody can't be both, because Neil is. I'm just not. Mine is more technical, colour theory is my thing. And business, of course, has ended up my thing. So it's interesting how we all go. But Neil said a story had popped into his head. So...
the Italy
where was
trip.
it, Neil? Tell me where it was.
Italy.
Oh, it's the same one. I can't believe it. Tell everyone this story.
Okay, so obviously over my career, Debbie's really championed me in everything and anything, and it was kind of, I was working in a salon as a normal day doing my clients, and I got a phone. Someone, I think it was Barry on the phone from King Street, talking to our then front of house, and said. She turned around and she went, I need your passport number. And I was like, right, well, can it not wait? I'm with like, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, Barry then was like, Neil, you're going to Italy with Debbie. We're cancelling and rescheduling your clients for the next couple of days. You need to get your passport number. And you need to be at the airport by this time tomorrow morning, I think it was. And I was like, okay. And I was like, she was like, you're going out to do some hair for a show, blah, blah, blah. So this was the first introduction that myself and obviously Barry Stevens got introduced into Census. So it was a show for MC2, what it originally was, because this would be about, I would say 8-9 years ago.
I don't know, Jodie's on here. She just put on
say,
there the Fiat. Jodie, how long ago was it? I bet Jodie will remember. I don't think it was as many as 8 or no, it might have been 6 or 7.
Okay.
8. Yeah.
So then so I get down to Stansted, meet Debbie, and obviously Jodie, and there was another stylist who was with us. Now, obviously, I was going with no understanding of what the product was. Yes, I can colour. I know how to like mix and do all those things, but I have nothing. So we get on the plane, off we go, everything else, and we get into the hire car. Now, if we said there was the 4 of us and our suitcases and our other bits, and literally we drove from Milan to San Sepolcro. We met our models. Obviously, I don't speak Italian. I don't understand Italian. Blah, 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 blah. We did what we had to do. And then we stayed in a hotel. And then we drove from San Sepolcro down to Salerno, which is on the Amalfi Coast. And the car of choice, the car of choice was a Fiat something. And literally, it was like, you could have put us, we had more space in a shoebox anyway. But we travelled down, and then when we get to the hotel, the teams are already there. Obviously, we being the outsiders, being English, and there was one of the biggest salon groups in Italy was there, and the art team of what it was for Census was there. And I'm not saying that I felt not included. I just don't speak the language, so I wasn't included. Went to bed, woke up the next morning, and Susan was driving us to the venue. Now, it took us about 2.5 hours to find the venue, which
we
made
got
us
lost,
late.
didn't we? We got lost.
Yeah, which made us late. So then when we turned up to where the kind of prep technical area was going to be, shall we say, we had a broom cupboard. And I mean, we actually took the mop bucket out, the brushes, the janitor's overalls, the cleaning fluids on the floor, and we put them in the hallway. And literally, we made a broom cupboard, no bigger than, I would say, your average kind of household kind of, and we did all our models and everything else. And then it was one of those things that we kind of went on stage, and Susan was our interpreter or translator, and we did a show without any kind of real cohesiveness, and it was literally kind of pulled together and everything else. And I know that
obviously myself and Jodie, we've kind of, it's kind of, Jodie has always said to me, she was like, you know what? She said, I loved it. It's been, you like, you're an inspiration, blah, blah, blah. But it's because I always will share my, what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Or I would always say the approach to it, or your preparation is better to do it this, or you can achieve it like that. Because I feel that I can not have to, I don't have to eat, don't have to be a dictator or a kind of, I can lead people and guide people in a way that is down to earth, it's approachable. I like my team to feel they are a part of the show. They're not just an accessory to actually aid what I'm, yes, they are aiding what I'm doing, but actually they are, like, them being a part of it is for a reason. And that's why I always feel that having a team of core people that can go like that. So like Brit now, she thinks before I've even thought it for me. And it's one of those things, like Jill from Hunters, she's come and worked on numerous of the editorial photo shoots after going through the editorial program herself. And so it's kind of one of those things. So yeah, Italy was shall we say, one of those moments in times that I will always remember, because actually Debbie always says to me, if you can travel well, then you're good to go. Because actually,
what I say is, if you want to travel, be a good traveller. It's a good message, actually, for any. Yeah, there you go. A few of them will say this. I always teach them: if you want to travel, be a good traveller.
Yeah, you do.
If you travel and you're fussy about your food, you're moaning, you're whining, I'm not very well, I've got jet lag, Neil, look at you there. You're so good.
Baby Neil.
If you do all that, then you never get invited a second time. So yeah, I always give people that tip. You want to travel, be a good traveller. Yeah. People here have eaten things, right?
Yes, Kim.
Some of them. Yeah, I don't know if Kim's on here. Is Kim on? Yeah, she is. I saw her earlier, I think. Right, Kim's very proud of some of the things. Yeah, some of the things she's eaten. Right, Kim. Kim's a really fussy eater.
I'm a fussy eater as well, as Debbie. So, do you want me to just explain some of the? Because they could look quite random to for some people with the images. So the one in front of you, that was this. So one of my looks I did. So that was for Glamour magazine, and that was at the time when we had TG in the salon. So. It's a key part of my career. TG was I was one of I was on the first team of the Inspirational Youth, which was mentored by Auntie Mascolo, and Glamour magazine picked up one of my images that I created, and the product what I used at that time was hard to get, and there it is in print. So I don't even know when that would have been. I bet it's about 2007, 2008 ish, maybe even earlier. Let's have a look.
2006.
2006. Wow. There you go. So yeah, so that is like, but at the time when that was picked up, I didn't know the image was going. Wrote for it, but I didn't know where it was going. So it just shows you that it can be picked up. And I have been privileged, like in terms of press, not just in the trade, but in the consumer side. I've Mary Claire magazine. I know that image is up here somewhere. I got to feature in that with Barry. Obviously, Hairdresser's Journal, and then I've done Hello, OK, Look magazine, Cosmopolitan. So yeah, I've been really kind of privileged in that kind of thing. But yes, being a good traveller, you do have to be a good traveller. And it's one of those things that sometimes, here we go. These are the Wet collection. So these are the same girls in the New York State of Mind collection. They are in their raw, untouched product, nothing. So literally, we finished the shoot and we champagned the hair. We shampooed and we used the treatments. And this is literally their hair, not even And the garments these girls are in here are actually from De Montfort University. I took them out there to New York with me. Kieran, sorry to shout 1 minute. Kieran, can I have my phone a minute? Yeah. One of the parts of the good thing with the collaboration that I do with De Montfort University is I get to use their garments from their designers, and I feature them in my shows all the time, in the photo shoots. So, but yeah, there is a couple more where I didn't send with that, but that's part of your inside scoop on the collection. So, Debbie, here, have I gone? Can't hear you, Debbie. Okay. Kieran? Hello? Can hear Neil, not Debbie. Oh, okay. Perfect. Thank you. Pardon?
Still?
Yeah. It's my white my white. Oh no, it's on my phone. It's not.
If you as soon as you've done this bit, just take 2 minutes and I'll swap the cameras over and log in on this one.
Debbie? Okay, I'll just carry on talking if Debbie's still sound's not there. So if any of you want to just kind of let me kind of, if I bring my phone up, I'm going to show, I believe. Oh, Debbie's there. She's back. Oh, no. Love the inside scoop. Lucy. Bless you, Lucy. Keep going, Neil. Okay, I will keep going. So, yeah, it's kind of... And then, obviously, my journey now and where I am at in my career, shall I say, it's kind of... I changed the direction of me as a person. I'm at a different stage in my personal life. I'm at a different stage in my career. And I'm older and a little bit wiser and maturer to some of the things that I used to want to achieve. And actually kind of... I looked at it in a different kind of, through a different pair of eyes, should I say. So now I kind of really just home in on key things that I would like to, and actually what are going to be, I don't want to say beneficial or rewarding, because actually all of it has been of some kind of shape or form. But so I'm a brand ambassador, obviously, for Passion for Hair. Debbie and Daniel have supported me in many things and will always be my go-to for anything. They supply me with all my essentials for my kit bag, and I will always go to for advice as well, even just if I'm putting a presentation together, because it's always good to have a mentor who understands you on a personal level and a professional level, who can actually... is not going to be like from a technical level, but actually can understand the technicality and ability of certain things. But also it's kind of one of those things that I always feel that Debbie has got enough industry experience to be able to say yes, no, yes, this should and that should be, or when and why. So but I support, obviously, them as an ambassador, and then I'm the UK style director for Euphoria International and one of the 2 style directors internationally. And that's where my kind of role is on the external side. Yes, I still get requested to go and do fashion weeks round out and about. I got offered... Oh, I can hear Debbie, I think. But yeah, I got offered, I think, 6 or 7 shows for Fashion Week, what happened in February, but I decided that it wasn't for me. I
just come back from Argentina, which was incredible. I will touch on that in a moment. But yeah, so I now do global connection, and then I do Vision Quest on behalf of Euphoria. Any of you who've been out to either of those, it's fantastic. And those education platforms are business and creative. And it's a shame that this year Vision Quest didn't go ahead as planned. But next year, another bit of an inside scoop. Vision Quest and Global Connection are joining.
I can't see or hear Neil.
Debbie, I can hear you. Okay, but yeah, an inside scoop. Vision Quest and Global will be conjoining and will be united together. So there's going to be a bigger kind of platform of education. And
no, my volume is up.
So then also kind of
my volume's up.
I've been privileged to go off to Argentina this year, which I went out and launched, or part of me and Mirza went and did the launch show of for Pure Beauty, which is the distributor in Argentina, and they can't hear us both. Oh, can you hear? Am I there? Have I got now? I am there, yes. Oh, I am there. Perfect. I'll carry on. So yeah, global, and then obviously, so yeah, I went out with Mirza to Argentina, and we worked on behalf of Pure Beauty, which is the distributor out there. And the show, what we put, so we were the opening section of the Venucci Modo charity show, and it literally is in a kind of holiday town, resort kind of town. And basically it's kind of, they closed down the town, and yes, I always say it was a whirlwind of new beginnings and experiences, because like the day of the show, we went from I was on the news desk on the national news, and then I went to a radio station, and then I did about 5 or 6 TV interviews and radio interviews outside then I had to do a charity event, a charity haircut. Without telling you too much, all I'm going to say to you is the girl who was chosen for me to get cut off the street, she had friends inside, running around inside. You know what I'm referring to. Knits. And then we went on to do the show, and it was outdoors, and it was about 40 degrees at 8:30 at night. The integrity of the hair was it was questionable anyway, but it was in front of 16,000 people, which is kind of, I just think to myself, that's a music concert or whatever, but it was just for a fashion show. Now there was one of the world's most famous footballers in it from Argentina. I don't know, I don't do football. Sorry, my other half's asking me who. And there was also like a famous model. There was a famous couple. I think they must have been on Love Island. But we were the kind of names of the night. But yeah, so that was an experience, shall we say, not being able to get any money in a country where you've got money. So has Debbie joined us again? Is she in the sound?
Yes,
oh, she is there.
Thank you.
So yeah, and then where will I be going forward from now? Obviously I just touched about Global and Vision Quest joining together, which is going to be very exciting. I can't even imagine how many shows, models, breakouts, I don't know. But my role as the style director, I know I'll be going to produce some more of the collections. Me and Mirza's already started to talk. I don't know how many of you saw my Live Your Lockdowns, the series that Euphoria is putting together. And that's actually going to stay going. So even after lockdowns unlocked, shall we say, I don't know when New York will unlock, because they're the worst affected state at the moment. They will actually keep this online platform going. Has any of you had a look at the Euphora University? I believe have our salons stockists got access to the university?
Yeah,
Debbie.
yeah, they
Yeah.
have. One of the things I would love to see. There's a foundation. Oh gosh, it escaped me now, where Euphora give a bursary to somebody that applies.
Oh yeah, the Don. Yeah, Don's.
Don's memory.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd love to see a British hairdresser win that one
Win
year.
it.
But whoever wins it will have to. They're going to have to go to America to use the bursary. Like, they'll only have to go to visit, but they're going to have to pay for their flights and etc. to be able to use the bursary. But anyway, that's something that we can.
And the good thing with the Euphora Studio Salon in New York, it's now a U school, so you don't have to go to, yeah, so it's more accessible, and it's actually, obviously, I'm not going to say the flight price is not necessarily always cheaper, but it's not the 12 hours, it's half of that, so it's better, isn't it?
Time difference.
Yeah.
5 hours is much easier to deal
than
with
8.
Than 8. Yeah, those extra 3 hours make all the difference, but not that threw my face up really. Anybody here that has got ambitions, to go and do some learning in America, save your pennies, and we can steer you in the right direction. So whether it be Global Connection, Vision Quest, or whether it be attending one of the U-School programs, whatever it is, then we can help point you in the direction for that.
And I would definitely, for anyone who kind of can get out to America to do Vision Quest, Vision Quest is more on the business side, but it is a development programs in there for stylists, and they are very good. And then Global obviously is the creative side of the industry. And even then, there still is business accessible classes going on. But even the U School as a kind of overview, it's had a rechange in direction of education. They've remapped their kind of courses they're delivering. They still have their key ones like VEER and foundations and stuff like that. But they've actually brought in different designers or stylists to actually do the education and opened their viewpoint and not kind of kept so kind of tunnel visioned and made it more about artistic work. And I think one of the great things about it is their systems, what they implement through their educations, and how you can achieve something in a quicker format, or whatever it may be you're doing, cutting, colouring or styling and everything else, and the way it connects with the products and everything else, it's really a good point of difference, because obviously we learn a certain way, they learn a certain way, and it's about just developing your skill set and making it as wide as possible, and having a toolbox that it's kind of one of those things that we never stop learning. And as a hairdresser, there's always someone going to teach you something. You're always going to see something or hear something, which is one of the big things that I talk about throughout. But yeah, so I would say.
Right now, Neil, I know you've got a mannequin head there.
She's there.
Yeah, she's there. We've been about an hour. We were a little bit late
really?
this morning. We've been about an hour and 15 minutes. So why, just for the last 10 minutes, why don't you, you said that you're, because it's certainly true, just remind me exactly what you said. You said your forte is really in the...
Yeah, so I would also say I'm an all-round hairdresser. I can do very good... like Barry always says to me, no, Neil, you're a bloody good hairdresser. But I would say to you, yes, I'm a master in all my areas, but my kind of passion, where my heart is, I'm a finisher. The delicate fingers, and I always say it's all about soft touch, being delicate. It's not about product. It's not everything else.
The manipulation you said earlier.
Yeah, and the master of manipulating.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I can.
Now I am. So obviously, I think I'm going to jump for 1 second. I'm going to close this down. I'm going to rejoin you, and I'm going to do it through a webcam, which is actually on a tripod, so you can actually see it closer. So you're not coming from down here off my laptop. And I will. So I'll quickly just discuss it now before I close. No, actually, let me close down. I'll be 2 minutes. I'm just going to transfer over to the different computer. All right.
Okay. And meanwhile, I'll
entertain
everybody for 2 minutes whilst Neil is transferring to a webcam, and then he's going to give us a little demonstration on his mannequin head, which I'm sure you're going to really enjoy. You can see her in the background. Meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll talk to you a little bit about ITV have just done how to correct your home colour you've done. So just had how to correct. So now they're telling people how to correct their own colour. Good grief. I used Touch Up today, in case you're wondering. Touch Up. Wait a minute. I have to go the opposite way. It's a bit darker than my own colour, but it covers the white. So that's what I used today. Oh, they're telling them to colour over the top. My God, we're going to do such a business in colour correction when we get back, guys. There's no doubt about that at all, because we will be back at some point. So let's not get stressed about that. On Wednesday, join me 11 o'clock for a webinar. And I'm going to be talking about all things. I'm going to be doing some stuff on pricing. Also on, I'm working on it at the moment. Yeah, let's just say pricing. And if you're a senior stylist and you are interested in making money, I'm also going to be talking about promotion criteria. So I believe that all of us, most of us are probably putting our prices up when we go back. So it will be important that we understand about pricing, right? And so even if you're not a salon owner, you might want to join us as we talk about pricing and promotion criterias. And I'm also going to be talking a little bit about, sent out an email this morning, and I'm going to elaborate on what I talked about that email, getting back there, to do with money. Yeah, so we're going to be talking all things money on Wednesday. And then on Friday, we've got, we'll have a webinar on Friday. And Friday will be Daniel again on Friday. Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you all too. So that's what we're up to and what you can look forward to. Of course, it's a bit of a strange morning this morning. A lot of activity around our industry, and I've seen some of the messages. I'm going to choose not to comment on them. There's enough people commenting on it. It is what it is. So we'll wait and see what happens. I can see Neil has come back. He's back in the room. It's actually called the room. He's back in the room. He's got no sound at the moment. Right. Okay, let's wait and see. He's going to give us a little demonstration. I can't believe it went from Saturday about 26 degrees, and then yesterday so cold and blustery. And today cold and blustery. It's just incredible, the swing of the weather. Come on, Neil. Come on, Neil. Neil's amazing. So I think we've had a lot of technical problems this morning. In fact, you might notice that I'm not sat at the normal place. I've had to change where I was sitting because the reason why you couldn't hear me earlier was because of my Wi-Fi in my house, and I have fibre in my house. So I think, it's just the sheer load of people, kids studying at home, their homeschool, people working from home, people watching Netflix, listening to the radio via that name that you can't say, because if I say it out loud, she's just over there. Begins with an A, Lexa. Just seeing if she knows when her name's being spelled. I hope we've not lost Neil. Declan can see the back end, so he might be able to see what's happening. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening? I can see Declan's typing. Maybe he's not typing to me. If you didn't get my email this morning from Passion for Hair, I can forward it to you. Glad you enjoyed it, Georgia. Jill, yeah. Oh, hello, Jill. Didn't see you on earlier. You read it twice, Georgia? Well, thank you. Really enjoyed it. It replied was too long, so I wouldn't send. Your reply was too long. Okay. Ah, here we go. There you are. There we go. Can't hear you. Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, you'll have to excuse me for one moment because I can't see the screen, so I'm in shock. Okay, so here is Miss Dolly, and for the people in the room who saw Live Your Lockdown, this is the same mannequin head. So she went to my bathroom studio and she had a quick manipulation of the length. So I wanted to show today something that isn't going to be too pushing the boundaries from being like our commercial kind of behind the chair. So it's a simple long bob with a soft little bit of graduation coming to the forward, a little bit of a fringe area, and then some layers through. So it's not anything too outlandish or anything like that. And then I kind of went for, so if I tell you how I got to this stage before I start manipulating it. So I blow dried the hair or prep the hair. Now when I'm doing something in this kind of styling basis, I will always blow dry my hair twice. And the reason I do that is because I need the hair to be workable. It needs to be malleable for me to be able to uphold the integrity of the shape that I want to create. So I would always blow dry a first time and then a second time. And this was blow dried with Boost. And I would apply Boost from my root to my about 2/3 of the hair, and quite a nice kind of like level of coating on there, because I like to actually feel the texture of the hair. And then I use sculpture right from root all the way down to tips, and just used a white tooth comb and brushed it all out, and did that a second time. But then on the second time, or the revisit of the blow dry, I then would actually do it in the direction that I want the hair to sit. I want it to be able to do what I want it to do. So then once that was all done, I then went on and did a classic pin curling technique on it with, so I use the, excuse me, I won't be able to tell you the exact wand size, but I use my H.H. Simerson's wand. It's down here in my box next to me. And I just literally kind of took the wand itself, wrapped it round as if we were doing it with, and then I just did that up and down the wand itself so that it actually creates a curl, but it gives me a disheveled, and then I literally obviously use it as a pin curl. So now I got to this after letting it cool for about half an hour. So what I'm going to kind of go through now, I don't want to kind of say, let me just put a little bit of a subsection in. Does everyone understand the importance of foundation work and kind of getting your preparation is so important, and it's one of the things that I can't stress to people about the most is when you kind of, if you do your foundation work correctly and make the hair so that you have that total control, it will ensure that whenever you go forward in anything you will do, that actually you will always be able to ensure that you've got the ability to kind of make sure you're going to deliver it, because there's been so many times that I've seen people doing photographic work or competition work, or even just doing hair up in the salon, that actually they've failed at the preparation stage, and then they wonder why they've not been able to achieve the look what they needed to achieve. So I always say, and sometimes the preparation actually is going to take longer than the overall finishing part of it. So that's one of the big kind of key things I would say to you is really kind of get your technique of prepping the hair as good and as strong as you can possibly can, because going forward, if you ever want to do any editorial work, or if you stage or photographic, it is one of the key things that you would need to learn to do. So where am I going with Miss Dolly today? Well, Miss Dolly today is going to be nothing over kind of exaggerated, or I'm going to work with a simple, classic, timeless shape. I'm going to make it with have an editorial finish to its kind of exterior. I'm going to work the interior a little bit slightly different than I would, and unfortunately, so let me just kind of go through this a little bit before I move forward and dress the hair out. So I'll be quite quick once I come to dressing it. Does everyone understand the principles of back brushing, back combing, and teasing with your fingers? Yeah. Okay, because obviously, if you've got your preparation in and you do it correctly, you should be able to maintain the integrity of your curl, but you should also get hold in your work that you do. I'll just do it a little bit there, so, and then, but it should actually brush out straightforward as easy as it would do. Okay, so I'm in a good view. Yeah, I'm just going to come a little bit further that way, and my hand's not going to be covering you too much. And one last thing, I just need to get my right tools out, and I'm going to be, there we go. Okay. A handful of those in my back pocket. Now, because I've done my preparation correctly, I personally now would not actually be starting to load the hair with any real products of any sort, because actually the hair is in control. Now, I'm going to do a classic chignon from, okay. So I coloured Miss Dolly, and the reason I'm referencing the colour is, can you find grips or pins that actually sit in copper? No. It's one of those things that I was like, do I use a blonde one or do I use a brown one, or what do I use? So my choice of was brown, which I think essentially kind of works very well. So straightforward, quick, easy, just literally put that into a nice chignon. So remember, a chignon's flat to the round of the head, and it's not exaggerating like a beehive or would be. So it's same principle, it's the roll of it, but it's actually flat and not pronounced out here. So then with the next bit, which is my internal body part here, I'm going to just take them to that way so they're not going to interfere when I'm dressing the top bit. Ooh. That's that. Okay, so with my top bit, I'm just going to use my rat tail comb. We're always using pintail combs, and like some people always say to me, a rat tail comb, is there a thing that such a thing? Now, I always say essentially your toolkit is one of the biggest things. Now, I use the Euphora roll. I'm sure many of you have already got one of these. And that is great because it has all the correct, so my rat tail comb has all the right credentials in it of what combs you need and everything else. And my go-to brushes, as I'm talking through tools, would be my Euphora round brushes, the heat retaining ones, because I use them in the salon, they're in my session kit, they're here at home as well, so that's good. And then in terms of hot tools, well, I have an abundance of hot tools. They like literally are falling out of every box you can think of, but I'm slowly updating them with all the H.H. Simmons ones, because I took them away with me to Argentina and kind of really tested them in kind of, shall we say, testing heat circumstances for the actual, and I nearly came home without them because Mirza was quite gladly taking them off me and applying them into his own session kit. and I believe he asked Debbie for some because he just loved how much the products performed. So I have 2 hair dryers, Compact and the Boss, both in the salon, and then I have their hot tools, and yes, their hot tools are in the salon all the time anyway, but I have some here at home to use. Not that I haven't, for those who saw me last week with my blonde luscious long hair, you would have, I was going to say, not that I can use them on my hair, but of late I have been able to use them on my hair. Okay, so this is the first part where I'm just going to introduce a tiny little bit, and I'm only using Tame, and it's just, I just want to get a little bit of a substance in there. Now this isn't actual dressed, like, it's still soft, it's still malleable, but it's actually okay. So let me start here, and I'm going to now start and I will need a little bit of that for in a moment. What is that? Okay, so I'm just internally now going to use my kind of fine back brush just to lightly take a bit of what I would say fluff. It's not backcombed as such, and then with a little bit of product, I'm just going to give it a coat, and then I'm just going to start to pull it in, and then that little bit of internal texture on that layer, what I laid down onto the other bit of texture what I've already created, and a tiny bit of the product, it's like just kind of using it as in terms of making it kind of adhere and give you that little bit without actually coating the hair. And then I'll just spin and hey, pardon? Maria what?
She says that you having hair has confused us somewhat.
I was going to put my hair on today.
Cut it long.
Okay. Okay, so now I've just built that little bit of an internal kind of bed and kind of started to get my flatter shape coming through up through here. So now it's time to connect like the rest of the shape in and kind of pull it in together. I would go out wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise I'm going to spin. Okay, so now I'm going into a smaller kind of bristle brush. So I've got various sizes of different bristle brushes. So this one's actually a Denman one. I have a Mason Pearson, which is my staple, kind of my big one, which I would use all the time. Right.
Charlotte says it's stunning.
I need to tripped over my wire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Messages.
Yeah, I do that at the end, can I? So, and then I'm just going to use my Mason Pearson just to make sure I polish it all off, and then so now a bit of full effects, because I like to just make it a little bit kind of softer finish. And okay. Oop.
Got you.
So what I'll do is I'll just bring the camera up close so you can really get to see her shape. I love to dress my dollies with a little bit of a something then just look like she's had her head chopped off. So now you can see obviously through the front, just real soft fine detailing of a fringe. And then as we go to the sides, obviously it's kind of that real kind of lived in kind of anti-head shape. It's got the classic kind of beehive and a chignon connection, but it's not together. But when you look at it, you can see it looks together and it's cohesive. And then, and just remember, like, there was no padding, there's no real heavy amount of back brushing or back combing or anything like that. And it's very low level amount of product. There's not heavy abundance of products in there, but overall, I think she has that je ne sais quoi, that Parisian detailing. She's very of the moment and quick, simple, but it all came down to the right foundation work in terms of my preparation. So I hope you enjoys that quick little demo. I'm going to take a seat and then we'll, I know Debbie's going to go through the questions for me.
Yeah, Neil, that is absolutely beautiful what you've done there. And that is,
I'm just going to turn you up, Debbie, just bear with me, just because I'm relocating myself over.
For comfort.
There we go. There we go, I can hear you now. So
how nice is that, everyone, just to have that creativity. Gosh, after all the
bring her into view. There we go. Just put her up there, and I kind of.
Okay, so Neil, do you want to, Declan? Do you want to put the questions up for us if there was any, or if anyone's got questions?
Okay, so let's have a look. So I've got the screen in front of me. So see what. So the questions are in blue.
In blue, yeah. If there were questions,
they will be in blue.
Put them up in blue. But I'm not. I can't say that I saw any as we were going along.
Okay, no problem.
What to do with the headscarf? We've had no questions popped up.
If anyone in the room got any questions they feel they would like to ask me at this stage, or anything you would like me to kind of, could be anything. It doesn't have to be about what I've just done or
comments. Yeah. Really very beautiful, Neil. I've loved it. And
I'll put a video on of the bits what goes with this for you as an exclusive, Debbie, for you to be able to put out there.
Okay. Lucia works with food.
Pardon?
I want the editorial team will be back on.
When the editorial team will be back on. Well, in terms of the editorial team, yes, it's going to come back. It's something that myself and Debbie's got to discuss. And it's something that I'm going to try to put it into a more of a shorter format and make it more accessible as not just necessarily the editorial team, but it becomes more of a course that it can branch out to the wider people, so that actually you can get the essential information and knowledge and the experience. It's just how we can adapt it into a translatable short format course, which is what, but I would imagine if you keep your eyes peeled for the business counts, and it would always be the time and place where anything gets announced. So I believe, touch wood, you'll see and hear about it in October.
No.
Yes?
Jodie.
Sorry.
Jodie
says what?
What is your must-have product to travel with?
So obviously, Euphora is obviously my products. I literally have everything, but in my kind of own kit bag, in terms of Boost and Volume Fusion are always going to be the way I would apply to get my root lift, regardless of what I'm doing. But Boost would be the favourable one out of the two.
Details is one of your
Yeah.
favourites.
Sculpture is my everyone. I use it on everyone, and I mix it with everything, and I do it with everything. In terms of full effects, details, they're always going to be go-tos. I love Behave. It's one of my favourite new products. I think for me, your toolkit in terms of products should be a overview of the key classics. So like a glaze, a liquid, a volume, a mousse, and stuff like that. Because really, you can carry too much and you can use too much. Now, anything at the foundation level or preparation level that you can use that doesn't leave any residue or won't interfere with any other layering products going onto it are essential. And that's why Sculpture and Boost, literally, I put lashings of that stuff on it. You can't overload the hair. So yeah. But I can post online for you my essential toolkits of what's in it and what's not in it. That's easily done. Any more questions?
He's typing. Let's see what Jackie's got. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. It's been a good morning.
Yeah, it's been eventful before, but it's been a pleasure. I enjoy obviously sharing my skills and my knowledge with everyone. And as I said last week when I did the Live Your Lockdown, if you do feel you've got a question that pops into your head, feel free, DM me. I'll answer it for you. Or anything, any advice or help and support. I'm always an open, I should say an open door, but at this stage of time of uncertainty, it's not an open door, but you know what I mean. I'm always happy to help and support anyone. So, yeah.
Well, Neil, thank you so much. We're lucky to have you.
Thank you, Debbie. It's been a pleasure as always.
Everybody enjoy your day.
Take care, everyone.
See you all Wednesday.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.